right, Mason and Ireland show. I'm John Ireland. Jeff Katz is in for Mace.
Hey now.
And we're getting lucky today because people that are going to be very, very busy are going to spend a few minutes with us. We have tracked down Brian Windhorst, who's out here working on the jump, doing a lot of things, and obviously a very busy day for him. Wendy, thank you for coming on, man. How are you?
I'm fine now. Just check with me in about 12 hours.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was thinking, too. It's going to be a weird – we just had Howard Beck on, and we were talking about what a weird day it is for you guys. But first, settle a debate between Jeff and I, Brian, because you've covered LeBron for the majority of both your career and his career. Many, many people are convinced because reputable people have said LeBron's coming to L.A. next year by hook or by crook. I never trust it. Jeff, you believe it 100%, right?
I would bet yes.
Okay, Brian, I don't trust it because I heard you say, I've heard Ramona say, that not even LeBron knows what he's doing until he does it. How sure are you, Brian, that this LeBron to L.A. rumor is actually happening?
I'm not sure of anything.
You're like me. You're like me.
Frankly, anybody who says they're sure is just guessing, because the thing about LeBron James is he wants optionality. I mean, this is the way I put it. What are you having for dinner June 30th, 2018?
Steak.
Okay? You don't know, but you do know that you can have whatever you want, right? Because, you know you can have shrimp, you can have chicken, you can have steak. LeBron knows that his options are going to be there, just like your dinner options will be there in 1 year. You don't have to worry about dinner. He doesn't have to worry about where he's going because he knows that once he gets to that spot, he can declare where he's going to go and the seas will part and it will happen for him. So he doesn't have to spend all this time plotting it out. And LeBron is never going to give away a season. He is going to try to win the championship every season he's got left. So he will try to win the championship with the Cavs this year, and then at the end of next season, he will look at the lay of the land. Locking himself into any decision, staying, going, retiring, whatever, that's not who he is. And one of the ways that we can decide where we are in our careers and your industries, how many options do you have? If you were to leave your job today, how many options would you have at how much money? If you have unlimited options at unlimited money, you know you're great. That's where LeBron James is.
Yeah, go ahead, Jeff.
Okay, I completely respect where you're coming from, but in your experience dealing with him, and I'll just be very blunt, I've had private business dealings with...
They don't know.
Okay.
Whoever says they don't know, because LeBron doesn't know.
Can I finish really quickly, though? All I'm saying is, in my experience, and I would assume yours, there's certainly been an element of very clear strategy on the part of his and his guys. And all else, can I just out this really quick?
Yeah,
I don't want to take up Brian's whole thing. I apologize. I was doing business several years ago with the Wades, et cetera.
Yeah.
And Antoine Wade, Dwayne Wade's brother, a year before the decision, was very clear and walked me through the entire plan almost as it happened. That's a fact.
Right.
And so I just have a hard
what if
time
the Cavs
believing...
won the championship that year? He still leaves?
All I know is it played out exactly as they told me. I said it.
You can argue from
Deli on Pico,
you can argue
and had
from
it
both
played out
sides.
for me.
All right.
All I'm
With
saying
all
is
due
there seems to be a
respect,
lot of strategy.
with all due respect, nobody knew. They had talked about it, but nobody knew until they got there.
Oh, come on. John is pointing at himself saying he knew.
So you're saying if the Cavs had won the championship in 2010, LeBron goes, see you guys.
Brian, what I'm saying to you is Ramona Shelburne and a bunch of us for 3 years now, privately behind the scenes here, have been talking about LeBron going to the Lakers as though it was, don't say this publicly, but it's kind of fait accompli. And all I can tell you is I get the same spidey sense I got from Antoine Wade at lunch.
Then go to Vegas and put your house on it.
Done.
Brian, I am completely with you. Brian,
I have great respect for you. I'm just going for
Brian, I am completely with you.
Dude, here's what I'm telling you. Is it an option? Yes,
clearly.
It's an option. If you think it's done, you're full of it.
Yeah, okay.
I'm just taking an educated guess. I'm always full of it.
Let's move on. Let's move on.
That's a different story now, isn't it?
Oh, I'm still betting. I'll still bet the house.
See, here's the thing, man.
It's an educated bet of the house.
You know what, dude? In my business, you make educated guesses, you're going to be in deep trouble.
That's why, and again, I'm not a journalist. I'm just looking at this from my own experience on the side.
And Brian, we appreciate your perspective on that. Let me ask some other stuff. All right. If you were running the Clippers, now that this Chris Paul bomb has dropped, would you go all in on Blake Griffin as it appears they're likely to do? What would you do?
So there's a couple of things we don't know. Number one, what is the story with this toe injury? Is he going to be fine?
Yeah, some people say linger? December at the earliest, one guy I talked to.
All right, so I don't know what the answer is, right? The second thing is Ballmer cool with doing a 5-year deal that he may not get insurance on because they can't insure the contract? Maybe he is, because I think that's going to be an issue here. That's one of the things that nobody talks about, but is a real deal. As bad as the Bosch thing was for the Heat, the reason the Heat are about to spend a whole bunch of money in free agency is they are protected on Bosch's contract because of insurance. It's saving them tens of millions of dollars.
To the same point I'm sorry, Brian, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so is Ballmer okay with giving out a contract that can't be insured? Is he willing to take the risk that Blake could have another injury that he can't get protected on?
That is a really good point that I haven't heard anybody else bring up. That you're right, Brian. That injury, and I think Blake's been hurt every year for the past 3.
So the way insurance works is you're obligated by rule to have your top 3 contracts insured. Some say it's a racket to force people to pay premiums, but whatever, it's insured. The Heat were glad that they had Bosch insured. And if a guy has an injury history, they just won't insure certain, they'll say, you have an injury exclusion on his feet or on his knee.
Yep,
or on his hip or
Brian, what you're describing happened to Andrew Bynum. So Laker fans can put this in perspective. This is exactly what happened with Andrew Bynum. He became uninsurable.
Yeah, so it's a, and I'll bet they're glad they traded him.
Yeah.
So getting back to it is this. I would be worried if I were the Clippers of losing everybody and clearing the decks, because I just think that you want to be real careful in competing with the Lakers for free agents next year. And I know that this is not the Donald Sterling Clippers, but I know they've got Jerry West, but and Steve Ballmer, but I don't know. I'd like to have a drawing card to bring with me to these free agent meetings in a year. And I know that Blake Griffin isn't Chris Paul when it comes to some of these guys, but I'd be real afraid of breaking it down to nothing. And so if I could get myself comfortable with the injury risk, I would really want to keep Blake. And maybe what Blake is just trying to get here is leverage, because he's a really good player and he's still relatively young. I know he's got injury histories, but you can't promise me that you're going to replace him. And that's just a real thing that you got to look in the mirror on.
To that point, Brian, how precarious is Doc's position given everything that's going on in the aftermath of the Chris Paul move?
Well, look, if Blake leaves, if they elect not to pay Blake, because I think they control it, it's just a matter of whether they want to take the risk. If they elect not to pay Blake, I don't see why they're not immediately looking to trade DeAndre, because you might as well try to get a high draft pick while you're rebuilding. And what is that? Does Doc want to be a part of that?
Yeah, he didn't in Boston. That's a good point.
Right. So, but Doc has a glorious contract.
Right.
And there's also no coaching jobs open right now. So.
Yep, that's a good point. And no, for the first time since I've been covering the league, Brian, and I've been covering it for a little longer than you, no coach was fired during the season last year.
There's been
which
5
is weird.
or 6 general manager changes if you go back to Mitch Kupchak.
Right.
I've been covering the league 15 years. I 6 more general manager changes than there have been coaching changes. Are you crazy?
Yeah, never happened.
It's wild. And so there's a bubble, though, right? Like with anything. So I think in the next 12 months, we could see 10,
Right, the pendulum swings back the other way. That's true. Right. And it goes, we're talking to Brian Windhorst from ESPN. Brian, I know you get asked this all the time. What's your best guess as to where Paul George is opening night next season?
So there's a reason that the Pacers are waiting, and they want to see what Gordon Hayward does. Because if Gordon Hayward goes to Boston, I think it changes what Boston's willing to offer. And so they're going to wait on that because Boston has the assets that they want. They have the draft picks, the Lakers pick, and the Nets pick. I mean, there's a good chance that one of those or both of them are going to be top 10 picks, and so that's what they want. They you look what the Bulls just got for Jimmy Butler. They got 2 top 10 picks and a guy in Zach LaVine who's essentially like a top 10 pick. 3 top 10-ish picks for him. The Paul George, they'd want a top 10 pick. So right now they don't have that offered. Trust me, if they had it offered in that last week, they would have done it. So their position right now is a weak one, and they're hoping that things that take place strengthen their position. If Boston gets Gordon Hayward and thinks they can get Paul George, then all of a sudden I think it changes it. Failing that, let's say he stays in Utah or he goes to Miami or something, it could get more interesting. You could get Houston back in it. Right now, Cleveland is not really in it. Cleveland has an offer in, but they're not close on Paul George. So, and maybe the Lakers, of course. Maybe they just sort of relent and take the package that the Lakers can give them, because the Lakers are the only team that has any motivation to trade for him because of their ability to extend him.
Yeah, you're right that it really, this free agency period lasts a couple of weeks. We should ask you that question again in 2 weeks, because then we'll know where
I'll have a better feel in 5 days.
Right.
I think Gordon Hayward's going to know by Monday or Tuesday.
Brian Windhorst with us. Hey, last thing for you. We just had Howard Beck on, and we asked him the same thing. Daryl Morey was on Mike and Mike this morning, and he said he's going to be in L.A. today and tonight. He's going to take somebody out to dinner. We don't know who, maybe just agents. Do you guys know, do the Brian Windhorsts and the Wojs and the Ramonas, do you guys know where these guys are going? Is it common knowledge? Are these meetings secretive? How do you cover a night like tonight?
Well, we are dependent on the agents and executives. I don't think you do very well standing outside the restaurants. The agents' offices, there's a couple of gigantic agencies that represent most of the players, or at least the majority of the players, and a lot of times the meetings take place at their offices. I think I won't say them, but you could probably guess the two agencies I'm talking about.
Right.
They're both based here on the West Side. Basically, L.A. is the player capital of the NBA. The business capital of the NBA is New York still, but the player capital is L.A. All of free agency, or almost a huge piece of it, will take place here in L.A. over this weekend. And, there's going to be some sightings in some hotels in Beverly Hills and other places over there. There's going to be some restaurants where it goes down. That's essentially where the NBA is going to be decided. Every now and then you're going to have your Hamptons visit and everything, and that's kind of why Durant did it out there, was to be away from everybody else. But, yeah, L.A. is the capital. I would even go so far as to say that L.A. is the capital of the NBA. Between L.A. and Vegas, all summer business goes down here or there. And the entire league is in town here. If you have any free agent aspirations, you are in town. If you walked over to the private jet terminal at Van Nuys and started running some tail numbers, you're going to find some NBA owners' jets sitting over there tonight.
Wow, great stuff, Brian. Thank you very much for making time for us, man. Have a great weekend.
Take care, guys.
Okay, there's Brian Windhorst, and I'm actually, I want to talk when we get back. I want to talk about how passionate you are about this subject, that you're absolutely convinced LeBron is coming. Because I wish I could get there. I wish I could get to where you are, and I want to find out why you got there. All right, Jeff Katz in for Mace. I'm John Ireland, ESPN LA. All right, Mason and Ireland, Jeff Katz in for Mace, and the reaction is fast and furious to the Jeff Katz Brian Windhorst disagreement. Wow. Katz got to Brian Windhorst, huh? Give Katz credit for not telling him to F off. But you do feel strongly that LeBron is coming. Not that it's a possibility. You feel in your blood that LeBron is coming to the Lakers next year. Why are you so convinced?
I do. And listen, and I want to be very clear. I have a lot of respect for Brian Windhorst. I think he's worked his way into a tremendous position. He has access to LeBron that I will never have. But what I have is my own personal experience. And that, I think, colors this entire thing for me. And I think, listen, if I offer anything in this role, all right, it's not good looks. It's not breakthrough sports analysis. It's the fact that I'm not beholden to this industry. And so I can tell the truth about whatever I want. If they fire me today, I go get an executive job tomorrow. I sold 2 movies a month ago, right?
Right.
I'm going off to go write a movie for Sony.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting here and I'm kind of like, I'll put it this way.
Wait, why is your BS detector up on this issue?
I'm explaining to you.
Okay.
Because I think, John, this is an example of why people hate the media. Because in political terms, it's like when they put the book Game Change out, and you had an entire run-up to an election where Heilman and Halpern and Heilman, right?
I love that
book.
Who
are both brilliant, and it's a great book. But are two guys who we all take seriously, who have been sitting on huge inside information for a year that the electorate probably could have used to have known.
That waited for the book.
That's right, to cash in on the book. and to basically, all information that the voting public probably could have had a right to know. And we see this every election cycle, right? This goes on in sports, it goes on in entertainment, and it goes on all the time. And so I just get to a point where, like, when we're all joking around here, like it's fait accompli that LeBron, this is all with da-da-da-da-da, all right, like,
okay, granting you all...
dishonest with the public to a certain level.
Okay.
So all I'm saying is, and I'll get right to the point.
All right.
My personal experience with this is my Antoine Wade thing with Miami, where I'm sorry, like I left Fox, started my own business, and one of the first people I started doing business with was Dwayne Wade's brother Antoine, who does a bunch of business with him. Antoine, if you hear this, hello.
And he tipped you on the super team in Miami.
I sat at lunch, and in fact, if I'm not mistaken, Rich Marincic, if you're listening, I believe you were at the lunch with me. If you'd like to call in and confirm, 877-710 ESPN. I think he was at the lunch. At Factor's Deli on Pico. All right, I'm sorry. I can remember two things in my life this vividly. Jose Canseco telling me before the Oliver Stone meeting about shooting up A-Rod and Roger Clemens. And this. And Antoine Wade, to my face, laid out, it's going to be Miami. They've already met and talked about it, etc. Then... All right, like I did business with them. We tried to do a deal licensing-wise.
Okay, can I interrupt you 1 second?
This just fires me up.
No, I'm glad it does.
It's bunk.
Okay, but wait a minute, Jeff.
Yeah.
I was in that too. I was getting tipped by a finance guy through the whole thing. But here's the thing. Why are you applying it to LeBron?
Okay.
I know what happened then.
Right.
Why do you think it's happening again?
Because we're getting the same freaking tips. And let's be honest, you're getting the tips off the air. I'm getting the tips off the air. And I'll just say to you from my own insight into their worldview and how strategic they are, as a guy who is somewhat strategic himself, I don't believe for a second. Yes, he's got tons of options. And if the wind breaks this way, he could go another way. There's no question about that. But to act like the guy has not given it a thought and doesn't have a master plan completely goes against everything we know about the guy, everything we know about I've met Maverick Carter once. I sat in one meeting with him back in the day, quite liked him and enjoyed my time with him. Doesn't strike me as a guy that doesn't have a plan. Okay, so these guys have a plan.
But
it's good. You know what it is? It's the same reason why it's the same reason I called Vegas. The Raiders going to Vegas a couple years in advance. The same reason I had the incredible foresight to predict that the Lakers wouldn't lose any of those draft picks. It's amazing how that happened. Right? It's because I follow the freaking money. And there's too much money to be made here. And I've had an insight into the worldview and the level of strategy that goes on. And I'm happy to be wrong. And if I'm wrong, hoist me up on my petard and make fun of me. But like, I'm willing to bet that I'm right.
I want you to be right. Obviously. Yeah. And what we're talking about is Jeff is absolutely convinced. I said 100%, and he said 110.
Yes.
110% that this LeBron to the Lakers rumor is more than a rumor.
Will you concede you have been hearing this quietly well before this went public?
I heard about it, but I heard LeBron could come here like the last time when he left Miami and went to Cleveland. And that's why
I've certainly
there's a lot
this.
of crying wolf here, because I heard that when, the first thing I heard was from very reliable sources, LeBron is not finishing his career in Miami. And I absolutely believe that. He said he's going, and the first person who told me he's going back to Cleveland, I went, come on, he's not going to work for Dan Gilbert. And they said, watch it. And then I started hearing Lakers are in play. He may go back to the Lakers. And I've had my heart broken on rumors like this so many times. I want to believe it, but I don't know if it's true. I'm
like
glad
my steak medium rare, John.
No,
Mastro's private room, cream spinach, lobster mashed potatoes.
I'm not betting against you. I want you to be right. But the person in me that says don't count your chickens is very loud right now. And you're saying count your chickens.
Not two. Not 3 chickens. I am. I will call my shot right now. I am like Jake Taylor in Major League, and I'm not bunting. Okay? He will be in purple and gold.
A year from now.
Yeah, once he leaves Cleveland, put it this way.
Because think about it, Jeff,
whenever he leaves
exactly
Cleveland,
1 year from now is when he can do it.
Yeah, when he leaves Cleveland, he will leave to go to L.A. And to the Lakers, not the Clippers. Called my shot. There you go.
So tonight at midnight Eastern, 9 o'clock West Coast time, all the free agents can sign whatever they want. Jeff is absolutely convinced. You can tell his conviction that LeBron a year from now is coming to the Lakers.
Tweet me at Worldwide Katz a year from. If I still have Twitter a year from now, after this experiment, we'll see if I have it after today. Given this, if I'm correct, like seriously, make fun of me, rip me to pieces. Like I'm just telling you. All I can say to you, to listeners that are listening, don't believe the experts, whether they're draft experts, us on the radio, the political experts. We lie to you all the time. I'm not lying to you. I'm telling you flat out. This stuff has been rumored and discussed and whispered in these halls among enough people who know well to say that, yeah, I feel comfortable at least leaning in that direction.
All right. Greg, you have to save the tape
Tape
for
it,
today's show.
Rack it. Rack it. And find that tape when I called the Raiders going to Vegas. It's about 3 years old.
Boy, people are very proud of you today for standing your ground.
Because they deserve better.
Okay.
They're not stupid.
Okay.
Listeners, you're not dumb.
Coming up next, I'm going to share something with you that absolutely surprised me. A guy who has been a punching bag in LA sports, a guy who people wanted fired weeks before it happened, who wanted him out, who treated him like the biggest bozo in the market, is going to do something that you can now watch, and I'll play it for you next so you can hear it, that is going to make you like him a lot. I'll share it with you next, ESPN LA. Well, your passion, Jeff Katz, has certainly sold. Tweet from Michael Alvarado. Tell Katz thanks. I will put money down on LBJ when I go to Vegas next weekend. Katz on fire. Good stuff. Jeff feels strongly that this LeBron to the Lakers thing is done.